Jaden stood outside the school gate holding his old backpack tightly. His shoes were dusty, his shirt was neatly tucked in, and his eyes were quiet. It was his first day at this new school, a big, modern school in a city far away from where he grew up. No one knew who he was, and he liked it that way. Jaden walked slowly through the hallway. Students moved around him like waves, laughing, chatting, calling out to their friends. No one looked at him, at first, but then the whispers began. "Who's that guy? Look at his shoes. He talks weird." Jaden heard it all, but he didn't respond. He kept walking, eyes forward, heart calm. He just wanted to study, stay quiet, and go home. The first encounter during lunch, Jaden found a quiet corner in the schoolyard. He opened his lunchbox and began eating alone. His food was simple, 2 sandwiches and a banana. Nothing fancy. That's when a group of boys walked by. They were loud and full of energy. At the center was Ryan, tall, popular, and used to being the boss. Ryan noticed Jaden and stopped. "Hey!" he shouted. "What's up, farmer boy?" Jaden looked up, confused. Ryan smirked. "Where did you get those shoes? 1980? The boys laughed. Jaden looked down at his shoes. They were old, yes, but clean. He stayed silent. Ryan walked closer. "What? Cat got your tongue? Can't speak English?" Still, Jaden said nothing. He just calmly packed his lunchbox and stood up. Ryan looked annoyed. He expected a reaction, but Jaden walked away, quiet and proud. The girl who noticed from the distance, someone was watching. A girl named Lena, shy, quiet, and always sitting in the back of the class. She had seen what happened. She didn't say anything. But she remembered something her grandmother once told her. People who walk away with silence are stronger than those who shout. That day, Lena started watching Jaden more closely. There was something different about him. The classroom in class, Jaden sat in the last row. He didn't try to make friends. He just listened, took notes, and kept to himself. But even there, the comments followed. "Why do you talk like that? You look like a movie villain. Bet he doesn't even have a phone." Jaden kept his head down. He wasn't weak, just patient, because deep inside, he remembered his grandfather's words. "Let the world talk. You just train your soul. One day, silence will speak louder than noise." No one knew, but Jaden had been learning martial arts since he was 6. Every morning before school, his grandfather made him practice, not just punches and kicks, but breathing, focus, and control. Jaden wasn't just strong with his body. He was strong in his mind. Going home. After school, Jaden walked home alone. The streets were new to him, crowded, noisy, full of honking cars and flashing lights. It was nothing like the calm town he came from. When he reached home, he opened the small gate and walked into a quiet little house. His mother was cooking, and his little brother was doing homework. "How was school?" his mother asked. Jaden smiled gently. It was fine. He didn't tell her about the laughter or the bullying. He didn't want to worry her. After dinner, while the city lights blinked outside, Jaden went to the garage. It was small, but it had enough space. He laid out a mat, took off his shoes, and stood still. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Then he moved, slow, strong, and focused. His arms sliced the air like waves. His feet moved with control. His body was quiet but powerful. He practiced for an hour, just like he did back home. He wasn't training to fight someone. He was training to fight his own anger. The mirror later that night, Jaden stood in front of a mirror. He looked at his reflection. The same old shoes, the same soft eyes, the same boy from the village. But then he reached under his bed and pulled out a small box. Inside, it was something precious, his black belt. He tied it around his waist, Slowly, firmly. He didn't need to show it to anyone, not yet. But one day, they would all see. Jaden walked into school the next morning like always, quiet, calm, head held high. But something was different. Now more students knew who he was. Not because of his talent, but because of the jokes. Ryan and his friends had told everyone about the new black kid who looks like a beggar. They laughed about his clothes, his shoes, even the way he ate. Some students laughed along just to feel included. Others stayed quiet, too scared to speak up. But Jaden? He said nothing. He sat in the same back seat, ate lunch in the same corner, listened to his teachers, took notes carefully. He didn't answer the bullies, but inside the storm was building. The locker incident one day, after PE class. Jaden returned to his locker and found it wide open. His books were on the floor, his notebook pages were torn, and his gym shirt was gone. He stood there for a moment, then slowly began to pick up his things. Students passed by, watching, whispering. No one helped. Ryan leaned on a wall nearby, smiling. "Oops," he said. "Maybe the wind did it." His friends laughed loudly. Jaden didn't even look at them. He placed his books back inside the locker and shut it quietly. The quiet girl speaks. Later that day, Lena, the quiet girl from class, walked up to Jaden during lunch. She handed him a folded note and walked away quickly. Jaden opened it. "I saw what they did. You don't deserve this. I think you're stronger than all of them." Jaden read it twice. He folded it carefully and placed it in his pocket. A small smile appeared on his face. It was the first kind thing anyone had done for him at this school. The fire alarm lie. Few days later, Ryan's gang pulled another trick. They waited until the teacher left the classroom, then pulled the fire alarm. When security came, the boys pointed at Jaden. "He did it," Ryan lied. "We saw him." Jaden was shocked. "I didn't," he said softly. But the teachers believed the louder voices. He was taken to the office, given a warning. His classmates looked at him like he was dangerous. Jaden sat alone after school on the bench near the bus stop. He stared at the sky, wondering, why do they hate me? I didn't do anything. Then a memory came to him. His grandfather's voice. "The world won't always treat you fairly, Jay. But your response decides who you become." Jaden closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He wasn't going to break. Training in the dark. That night, after dinner, Jaden went to the garage again. He didn't turn on the light. He trained in the dark. His body knew the moves by heart. Punch. Block. Step. Turn. Breathe. He wasn't preparing for a fight. He was preparing to stay in control, to remain calm in the face of pain, because he knew one wrong move at school, and he'd be the villain, the broken sandwich. The next day during lunch, he opened his lunchbox and froze. His sandwich was smashed. The bread was torn. Someone had opened his box and ruined it. Ryan passed by, laughing. "Maybe next time, you'll bring real food." Jaden looked at the mess, then quietly closed the box. He didn't cry. He didn't shout. He just got up and walked away. Lena saw everything. She quickly unwrapped her sandwich and ran after him. "Wait," she said. "You can have mine." Jaden stopped. He looked at her. Really looked, kind eyes, soft smile, no pity, just respect. "Thank you," he whispered. She nodded. "They're afraid of you, you know." Jaden raised his eyebrows. "They know you're different, strong. That's why they keep pushing you." He gave a small smile. "Maybe one day, they'll see what strong really means." Jaden sat quietly in his room, counting the money, in his small box. Crumpled notes, coins, and a few saved birthday gifts. It had taken him almost 6 months to save this much. He looked at the phone catalog in his hands. It wasn't the latest phone. It wasn't fancy. But it was new. It worked. And for Jaden, That was enough. A special moment. The next day after school, Jaden and his mother walked into a small mobile shop near their home. She smiled as he handed the money to the shopkeeper. Her eyes were proud, but also sad. She knew how hard her son had worked for this. Jaden walked out with a small box in his hand and a glow in his eyes. At home, he opened the phone slowly, with care, like a treasure. He set it up by himself, clicked a picture of his little brother, and saved it as his wallpaper. He finally felt happy. Showing up at school. The next morning, Jaden walked into school with a small smile. His phone was tucked safely in his pocket. He didn't want to show it off. He just wanted to feel normal. At lunch, he sat in his usual corner and quietly pulled out the phone to check the time. But that small action was all it took. Ryan noticed. He walked over, leaned on the table, and said with fake surprise, "Whoa, did someone gift you that phone? Or did you steal it?" Jaden looked at him, calm as always. "I bought it." Ryan laughed. "With what? Rocks?" His gang laughed with him. Lena, sitting nearby, watched nervously. She could sense something bad was about to happen. The shocking moment, Ryan stretched out his hand. "Let me see it." Jaden shook his head. "No." That made Ryan angry. He grabbed the phone from Jaden's hand, fast and rough. "Give it back," Jaden said, his voice a little sharper than before. Ryan smirked. "Relax. I just want to see it." He tossed it to one of his friends. "Catch!" They laughed as they threw Jaden's phone back and forth like a toy. Jaden stood up now. His body was tight. His hands were clenched. "Give it back." Ryan, still grinning, held the phone high, then suddenly dropped it on the ground, hard. Crack. The sound was sharp. The screen shattered, and so did something inside Jaden. For a moment, the world went silent. Ryan stepped back, looking at the broken phone like it was nothing. "It was cheap anyway," he said. Jaden looked down at the shattered screen. His chest hurt, not just from the loss, but from the disrespect. Jaden sat in the back of the class as usual, his broken phone still in his pocket. The screen was cracked, but he didn't want to throw it away. It reminded him of something important. Pain doesn't last, but power does. The morning announcements came on. "Attention, students! Our annual school talent show will be held next Friday. Everyone is welcome to join. Music, dance, art, all talents accepted. Sign-ups close this Friday." The class buzzed with excitement. Everyone started talking, except Jaden. He stared down at his notebook, not saying a word. The idea later that day, Lena came and sat beside him during lunch. "You should join," she said softly. Jaden looked up, surprised. "Join what?" "The talent show." "You have talent, Jaden. I saw you in the garage the other day. The way you move. It's amazing." Jaden shook his head. "They'll just laugh." "They already do," she replied. "But this time, make them watch. Not with anger, with your power." Jaden didn't answer right away, but the seed had been planted. The sign-up. The next day, Jaden walked slowly to the sign-up sheet on the school notice board. Students were crowding around it. Some wrote their names proudly. Ryan stood nearby, laughing with his friends. He noticed Jaden. "What are you doing here?" Ryan asked. "You going to teach us how to beg for lunch?" Jaden didn't speak. He picked up the pen and wrote his name on the paper. Under talent, he wrote one word, martial arts. Gasps echoed. Ryan and his gang laughed loudly. "You? Martial arts?" Ryan said, holding his stomach from laughter. "Please, you're a joke, bro." Jaden turned and looked at him, calm, steady, and serious. "No jokes on stage," he said softly, then walked away. The practice begins. That night, Jaden cleared the garage. He moved boxes to the corner, laid out his mat, and stood barefoot in the center, his eyes closed. Deep breath, and then movement, sharp, focused, fast. He practiced every evening. Kicks, punches, balance, form. He even began creating a routine for the show. He didn't want to show off. He wanted to tell a story, his story. Lena helped him choose music. She helped him time his moves, and slowly, Jaden was building something powerful. Word spreads by. Wednesday, everyone in school had heard about it. The new kid is doing karate or something at the show. Is it even real? He's just doing this to look cool. Ryan wasn't happy. He didn't like attention going to someone else, especially Jaden. He whispered to his gang, "If he performs, I'll be ready." The day before the show, Jaden opened his locker and found a note inside. It wasn't from Lena. It read, "Don't show up tomorrow, you'll regret it." He folded the note and placed it in his pocket. He didn't tell anyone. He just trained harder that night, and when he finished, he stood still in the center of the garage, eyes closed, hands at his side. This was no longer about showing talent. This was about showing strength. The stage is set Friday evening. The auditorium was packed. Students, teachers, and even some parents had come to watch the talent show. Laughter, music, claps filled the room. Jaden waited backstage, wearing a simple black outfit. His shoes were off. His heart was beating fast, but his mind was calm. Lena stood beside him. "You're ready," she whispered. Jaden nodded. Then the host called out, "Up next, Jaden Lee, performing martial arts." The lights dimmed. The music started. Jaden walked onto the stage. The crowd went silent. The lights dimmed. A slow, powerful beat began to play in the background. Jaden stood alone on the stage, silent and still. The crowd whispered. Some students giggled. Ryan smirked in the front row. Then, Jaden moved, a quick spin, a sharp kick, a clean block. Every movement was controlled. Every step was planned. It wasn't just a performance. It was a message. From laughter to silence, at first some students laughed, but as Jaden continued, the laugh stopped. His movements became faster, a spinning kick, whoosh, right over a wooden board he'd placed on the stage. It snapped in half with perfect aim. Then came a flurry of punches, left, right, block, twist, roll. Even the teachers sat up straight. The music changed. It became deep, emotional. Jaden slowed down, standing still for a moment with his eyes closed, arms open, breathing deeply. Then, like a storm returning, he launched into a final routine. A backflip, a high-flying kick, a loud yell from his gut. "Yeah!" The crowd gasped. Not because of the noise, but because of the power they didn't know he had. The message at the end, Jaden bowed slowly, his hands at his side. No flashy pose, no smile, just respect. The auditorium was silent for a moment, and then claps. Slow, then faster, then louder. Standing ovation. Lena had tears in her eyes. Even some of the teachers were clapping harder than usual. Ryan? He wasn't smiling anymore. His jaw was tight, his eyes confused. For the first time, he looked worried. The interview, after the show, one of the teachers asked Jaden, "Why did you choose martial arts?" Jaden answered simply, "Because it teaches me peace, because it helps me stay calm, and because I didn't want to fight back the wrong way." The teacher nodded, impressed. Ryan, standing nearby, clenched his fists and walked away. Whispers and respect. By Monday morning, the whole school was talking. But this time, it wasn't jokes or insults. It was respect. "Did you see his moves? He was like a movie star. Why didn't we notice him before?" Jaden walked through the hallway. No one blocked his way. No one threw jokes at him. Some even moved aside for him. It wasn't fear, it was recognition. Even students who never spoke to him before nodded or smiled. He didn't smile back. Not because he was rude, but because he had learned that silence was stronger than approval. The confrontation, later that day in the hallway, Ryan approached him. Alone. No gang, no laugh. "Hey," Ryan said, "you think you're special now?" Jaden didn't answer. Ryan stepped closer. "You got lucky with your little show?" Still, Jaden didn't speak, just looked into Ryan's eyes. Calm, steady, Ryan chuckled nervously. "Whatever, man. This ain't over." He walked away. Jaden turned to go to class. Lena's words at lunch. Lena sat with Jaden. "You didn't even say anything to him," she said. "I didn't need to," Jaden replied. She smiled. "That's power." He nodded. "But it's not about showing power," Jaden said quietly. "It's about knowing when to use it and when to walk away." Narrator, voiceover. They watched him for the first time and saw something more than strength. They saw control. They saw focus. They saw a fire that didn't burn things down. It lit up the truth that the one they laughed at was already 10 steps ahead. The school was quiet that morning. Too quiet. Students whispered in small groups. Some looked shocked. Others looked excited. Something had happened, and everyone knew, except Jaden. He walked into school like any normal day. Calm, quiet, focused. But when he passed a group of students, they stopped talking and looked at him. Not with pity this time, with respect, with support. Jaden raised an eyebrow. "What's going on?" Lena ran up to him, holding her phone tightly. "You haven't seen it?" "Seen what?" She handed him her phone. The video on. The screen was a video, blurry at first, but then clear. It showed Ryan in the school hallway, pushing a small kid against the lockers, yelling at him, calling him names. Then, suddenly, Ryan slapped the boy's phone out of his hands. The phone hit the ground and broke. The boy cried, and Ryan just laughed. At the end of the video, Ryan said something cold. "Tell anyone and you'll regret it." Then he walked away. The video ended. Jaden's hands tightened around the phone. "Who recorded this?" he asked. Lena looked around and whispered, "No one knows. It was sent anonymously to the principal, and it's everywhere now." The school reacts that afternoon. Ryan was called to the principal's office. Everyone watched as he walked in, shoulders hunched, eyes dark. No jokes this time, no smirking, just fear. Rumors spread fast. He's suspended. "No, I heard he might get expelled." He messed with the wrong person. Jaden's decision in the cafeteria. Everyone was still talking. Some students were laughing, others were celebrating, but Jaden sat quietly, his food untouched. Lena sat across from him. "You should be happy," she said. "He's finally getting what he deserves." Jaden looked up, his eyes serious. "I don't feel happy." "Why?" He paused before speaking. "Because I know what it feels like, to be humiliated in front of everyone." Lena nodded slowly. "You're not like him," she said. "That's what makes you strong." Jaden nodded once, slowly. "But I won't pretend I feel joy in someone else's fall, even if he hurt me." Later that day, Jaden walked past the principal's office and saw Ryan sitting on the bench outside, alone. His eyes were red. His backpack was open, papers scattered. For a second, Jaden stopped. He looked at the boy who once bullied him, mocked his clothes, broke his phone, and made him feel small. And now, Ryan looked even smaller. He didn't say anything. He didn't gloat. He just walked away. What the teachers said. That evening, 2 teachers sat in the staff room. One of them spoke quietly. Jaden. He never fought back. Not with hate. He showed his strength in silence. The other nodded. He's not just strong, he's wise. Narrator, voiceover. Sometimes The strongest revenge is no revenge at all. Jaden didn't need to shout, he didn't need to fight, he just needed to be himself. And the truth found its way out. Back home, Jaden sat in the garage that night. He didn't train, he just sat there, thinking. His mom came in with a plate of food. "You okay?" she asked. Jaden nodded. "Yeah," she looked at him closely. "You've grown," she said. "Not just taller, but stronger." He smiled just a little. "Thanks, Mom."